Are you sure dinosaurs disappeared 66 million years ago? What if I told you there are still blind spots on Earth, places evolution simply forgot to explore? Imagine a forest where ferns are taller than houses, insects are the size of your palm, and creatures that survived a meteorite strike swim in the water. These aren't graphics for a new Jurassic Park. These are real dots on a map. Today, we'll travel through 13 portals to the past, from giant forests to islands teeming with monsters, and be sure to watch until number 13. This is the most closed and dangerous ecosystem in the world, where the air is deadly to humans, and the inhabitants look like aliens. Let's go! We'll start with a place that looks like the largest set for an alien movie. If you woke up here without any memory, you'd never believe you were on Earth. You'd probably think you'd been kidnapped and dropped off somewhere in the Alpha Centauri system. Welcome to Socotra. It's a small archipelago in the Indian Ocean, part of the Amen Islands. And it's arguably the most isolated piece of land in history. Socotra broke away from the African continent about 6 million years ago. And while the rest of the world was experiencing climate change, mammoths were appearing and disappearing, and apes were climbing down from trees and picking up sticks, Socotra was living in its own time capsule. The results of this isolation are mind-blowing. 37% of all plants, 90% of reptiles, and 95% of mollusks that live here are endemic. That is, they are found nowhere else in the universe. This unique genetic code has been preserved in its pristine form. The most important symbol of this Jurassic Park is the dragon tree. Look at it. It's not a tree as we understand it. This is a giant mushroom, an inside-out umbrella, or a flying saucer on a stalk. They grow on rocky plateaus, forming surreal groves. Why is it called that? If you cut the bark of this tree, a thick, blood-red resin will flow. Ancient people believed this was the real blood of dragons who died here in battle with elephants. Alchemists used this resin. Gladiators rubbed it on their bodies before battle, and today it is used in medicine. Cucumber trees complete the landscape. Imagine a regular cucumber, only the size of a lamppost with lanterns. And the desert rose. A plant that looks like an elephant's leg, adorned with delicate pink flowers. Socotra is proof of what our planet might have been like if evolution had taken a slightly different path. It is quiet, hot, and very strange here. Walking among these umbrellas, you constantly expect a pterodactyl to dart around the corner. And you know, it would fit perfectly into this landscape. We're transported from a hot island in the Indian Ocean to the foggy California coast. If you felt like an alien on Socotra, here you'll feel like an ant. Welcome to Redwood National Park, home to the tallest living organisms on the planet. Forget everything you knew about trees. The birches, oaks, and pines you see in your local park are mere grass compared to these giants. The sequoias that live here reach heights of 115 meters. To give you an idea of the scale, that's taller than the Statue of Liberty, taller than Big Ben, and roughly the size of a 35-story skyscraper. Only this skyscraper has been living, breathing, and growing here for 2,000 years. When you enter this forest, the first thing that hits you is silence. It's thick, dense, almost tangible. The bark of the sequoia tree is incredibly thick and soft. It absorbs sound, creating the effect of a recording studio. You walk on a soft carpet of needles, and your footsteps are silent. Sunlight barely penetrates the canopy somewhere up there in the sky, and below, a mysterious twilight and fog always reign. Look at your feet. Ferns grow here, but not those pathetic little bushes you see on your grandmother's windowsill. These are true prehistoric monsters, reaching up to a grown man's chest, and sometimes even higher than his head. These are the ferns that Triceratops and Stegosaurus trampled. This forest has remained virtually unchanged for the past 160 million years. That's why, when Steven Spielberg was looking for a location to film The Lost World, Jurassic Park, The Lost World, he chose Redwood. He didn't even have to build a set or add CGI for the backgrounds. He simply brought in the actors, set up the camera, and said, "Action." This forest itself is a ready-made set for the Mesozoic era. When you look at these gigantic trunks, your brain refuses to believe that there isn't a Tyrannosaurus hiding behind them. Honestly, sometimes it becomes uneasy, and you start looking back at the crunch of a branch. These trees have seen everything. They were born during the time of the Roman Empire. They have survived hundreds of forest fires. Their bark is so thick that fire can't reach the core. They have survived earthquakes and hurricanes. They are truly immortal guardians of the planet. But the most amazing feeling arises when you try to comprehend their age and power. You touch the rough, warm bark with your palm and understand that this creature stood here when Columbus discovered America, when the pyramids were built from stacks, when the plague raged in Europe. For them, our entire human history is just one short day. Redwood is a place of power. There are no monsters here that want to eat you, except maybe bears, but they are not the main thing here. But there is an oppressive grandeur of nature. Do you understand what the earth was like before we paved it over? This is a temple of nature, where you want to speak in a whisper. If the previous forest oppressed you with its grandeur, then this forest will seduce you with its strangeness. We are going to the Seychelles, to the island of Proslin. Here, in the very heart of the island, is the Validum Nature Reserve, or May Valley. This is not just a jungle, it is a fragment of the supercontinent Gondwana. When dinosaurs still ruled the world, this forest already existed, and it has survived in this form only because of the Seychelles' complete isolation from the rest of the world. When the first Europeans landed here, they seriously believed they had found the biblical Garden of Eden, the very same Garden of Eden where Adam and Eve lived. And they had good reason to think so. Look at these palms. These aren't your average supermarket coconuts. These are the legendary Cockamer, or sea coconut. These trees have genders. There are male palms and female palms. And the fruit that grows on the female trees, well, they have a very specific shape. They look exactly like a woman's thighs. This is the largest and heaviest nut in the world. It can weigh up to 20 kilograms. And the inflorescences on the male trees look, well, you know what I mean, like enormous, meter-long penises. Ancient sailors who found these nuts in the ocean, they don't sink until they rot, believed they grew on the seabed in magical gardens. And locals still whisper legends about how at night, when no one is looking, male palm trees uproot themselves and go on dates with female palm trees. And if a person witnesses this process, they will immediately die or go blind. It sounds crazy, but when you stand in this forest, where huge leaves rustle in the wind with a metallic screech, you begin to believe anything. Other relics live here too. For example, the black parrot, a bird found nowhere else, or the highcones, which blend into the bark so that they can only be noticed by blinking their eyes. We leave land and dive into the water, not the ocean, but a very strange lake on the Palau archipelago. If you have a phobia of jellyfish, if you fear their slippery bodies and stinging tentacles, then this place will be your nightmare. But for everyone else, it's a true miracle. Imagine a small lake hidden among rocks and jungle. The water here is greenish and murky. You put on a mask, lower your face into the water, and hold your breath in shock. Millions of golden creatures surround you. They're everywhere, to the left, to the right, below. You're not swimming in water, you're swimming in a living jellyfish soup. This is Jellyfish Lake. It's about 12,000 years old. Sometime after the Ice Age, the ocean level rose. The water filled a depression in the island, then receded. The jellyfish were trapped. They were alone. There were no turtles, no large fish, no one to eat them in this lake. And then evolution made a brilliant move. Why waste energy producing venom and growing long stingers if you have no enemies? Over thousands of years, these jellyfish have practically lost the ability to sting. Their stinging cells are so weak that human skin simply doesn't feel them. You can touch them, they can touch your face, your lips, and you won't feel anything but the light touch of soft jelly. It looks like a scene from outer space. Millions of golden spheres pulsate to the rhythm of a heart. They don't just drift, they have a schedule. In the morning, they swim east toward the sun, and in the evening, west. The thing is, these jellyfish are farmers. Inside their transparent bodies live algae that require photosynthesis. The jellyfish carry them to the sun, and in return, the algae feed the jellyfish sugar. A perfect symbiosis. Swimming here is like going back to the Precambrian era, 600 million years ago, when there were no fish or reptiles on Earth, and the ocean belonged to primitive organisms like these. It's absolutely calm and quiet. But like any ancient place, there are some buts. The lake is only safe near the surface. Below 15 meters, an oxygen-deprived layer saturated with hydrogen sulfide begins. This is the dead zone. If a diver dives there, the poison will penetrate the skin and they can lose consciousness. Therefore, only snorkeling and surface diving are permitted here. Nature seems to be saying, look, touch, but know your place. The depths don't belong to you. Quote, if Jellyfish Lake was beautiful and peaceful, here, in Galapagos, it becomes a bit eerie. Landing on these black volcanic rocks, washed by the turbulent ocean, you expect to see Charles Darwin with a butt, but instead you encounter a swarm of little monsters. Meet the marine iguana. Look at that face. Honestly, only a mother could love such a child. Rough, scaly skin, a spiky crest on their back, powerful claws, and a blunt snout. They're the spitting image of a Godzilla, only scaled down to the size of a large dog. And when hundreds of them lie on the rocks, their tails entwined, it looks like a scene from a horror movie. But the most incredible thing happens when they get hungry. These are the only lizards in the world that looked at the raging ocean and said, I'll live there. They dive into the icy water, hold their breath for 30 to 40 minutes, and graze on the bottom, nibbling seaweed from the rocks. When an iguana swims, writhing its entire body and pressing its paws to its sides, the sight chills you to the bone. It's pure archaism. It seems as if their skyscraper-sized mother will rise from the depths after them. On land, they look even stranger. They sneeze frequently, shooting fountains of salt water from their noses directly onto their heads. This is how they get rid of excess salt they swallowed in the ocean. Because of this, many have white salt caps that freeze on their heads, resembling wigs. The Galapagos are a world where time has no meaning. These lizards have been basking on black rocks for millennia. They have little fear of humans because they have no natural predators on land. You can approach them very closely, but don't be fooled by their slowness. If you anger them, they can lash out with their tails like a whip or use their teeth. This place is a living illustration of what Earth looked like before the rise of mammals. The kingdom of reptiles. Harsh, black, salty. We closed the block on the atmosphere of antiquity. You saw strange jellyfish trees and still relatively calm monsters. But now the jokes are over. We're opening the real danger section. And, of course, where else would we go for this if not to Australia, a continent where every living thing is trying to kill you? But even by Australian standards, the Daintree rainforest is something special. It's the oldest tropical rainforest on Earth, 180 million years old. Think about it. When dinosaurs were just beginning to conquer the planet, this forest was already standing and rustling with leaves. The famous Amazon River is a mere infant in comparison, only 55 million years old. Flowers grow here that haven't changed since Antarctica was green. Walking here, you breathe the air of the Jurassic period. But the main reason this place made our list of deadly places isn't the trees. It's the local host, a bird that forgot it wasn't a dinosaur. Meet the cassowary. Look at it. A bright blue neck, red wattles, a strange bone helmet on its head. It looks like an overgrown turkey that escaped from a carnival. But don't laugh. Guinness has officially recognized the cassowary as the most dangerous bird on the planet. It's literally alive in velociraptor feathers. The cassowary has a secret weapon. Look at its feet. See that inner toe? It's got a dagger growing out of it, a sharp, 12-centimeter long claw. It's a true bladed weapon, and the cassowary knows how to use it masterfully. If you meet it on a path and it decides you're a threat or have food it wants, it won't fly away, it won't run away, it will attack. The cassowary can reach speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour, leap 15 meters into the air, and kick forward with both legs, like a karate fighter. This kick is capable of ripping open a person's stomach or breaking bones in one swing. During World War II, American soldiers training in these forests were instructed, "Stay away from that bird, it's more dangerous than a sniper." Here in the Daintra, you're in foreign territory. You're walking through the forest and you hear a low, vibrating hum. That's how cassowaries communicate. You feel it in your chest, like barefoot at a concert. Quote, "And you see, behind the ferns lies a creature that has survived ice ages, meteorites, and is ready to outlive you." Look at this landscape. This isn't graphics from a game or the set of a movie about another planet. This is scurvy. Translated from the local language, this word means a place where you can't go barefoot. And this is perhaps the gentlest warning in history, because it's dangerous to walk here even in the sturdiest army boots. Millions of years ago, this was the ocean floor. Then the water receded, and tropical rains began to wear away the soft stone, washing it away and leaving only the hardest, sharpest peaks. Why is this place on our danger list? Because any mistake here is fatal. If you stumble and fall, you won't just get a bruise, you'll land on stone knives. The local rocks cut through clothing, ropes, and flesh with alarming ease. Rescuers say evacuating a person from the depths of this stone forest is a living hell. There's no room for a helicopter to land, and carrying a stretcher over razor blades is practically impossible. Below, in deep gorges where barely any sunlight reaches, grow ancient plants and live insects that haven't changed since the time of the dinosaurs. It's damp, dark, and quiet, and above, it's a scorching frying pan. The stones heat up in the sun so much that it's impossible to touch them. But the most amazing thing is that this stone hell is inhabited. Look up. See those white, furry creatures jumping from peak to peak? Those are Safaka lemurs. While a man, sweating with fear, crawls along a safety rope, these guys perform 10-meter leaps across chasms, landing with their bare paws on sharp spikes. Their palms and soles are covered with pads as hard as car tires. Evolution has turned them into ideal parkour runners. For them, scurvy is not a trap, but the safest home in the world. No predator, except for the rare hawk, would dare to venture into this labyrinth of knives. This place reminds us, humans are strangers here. We are too soft, too clumsy and slow for such a landscape. Scurvy is a monument to natural aggression, frozen in stone. The Congo River is the deepest river in the world. In some places, its bottom drops 220 meters. There, in this pitch-black void, reigns eternal darkness and the pressure is such that it would crush a person. This place has been shrouded in legend for centuries. Local pygmy tribes still speak earnestly of the Mokolambembe. They describe it as a creature with a long neck, massive body, and tail, living in backwaters and capsizing boats. If these stories are to be believed, a real sauropod, a living dinosaur, has been preserved in the Congo Basin. Scientists have been searching for it for 100 years, but the jungle here is so impenetrable that it would be easy to hide an elephant or a diplodocus. But even if the Mokolambembe is a myth, the next monster is absolutely real, and it is far more frightening than a herbivorous dinosaur. Meet the large tigerfish, the Ilafa. The locals call it mabenga. Look at its mouth. Those aren't fish teeth. They are 32 daggers, each 3 to 4 centimeters long. They are razor sharp and work like a trap. When the jaws close, the teeth engage in grooves, slicing away flesh cleanly. This creature grows up to 1.5 meters and weighs 50 kilograms. It is the only fish in the world that is not afraid to attack crocodiles. Imagine the level of aggression and strength required to attack an armored reptile. For a human, encountering SLIAF in murky water is a nightmare. This fish reacts to splashes and movements. It attacks with lightning speed. There have been cases of fishermen losing fingers or receiving lacerations simply by carelessly dipping their hand into the water. The Congo River is a place where evolution has decided not to compromise. Everything here is gigantic, everything predatory, and everything ancient. Swimming here is like Russian roulette, where the drum holds not one bullet, but a full magazine. Vietnam, Phong Nhac Bank National Park. Imagine walking through the jungle and suddenly feeling a strong gust of cold wind gusting from beneath the ground, and hearing the roar of an underground river. You've found the entrance to Sun Dong, the largest cave in the world. The sheer scale of this place is mind-boggling. The vaults here reach 200 meters high and 150 meters wide. You could easily build a 40-story skyscraper inside this hole without even touching the ceiling, or construct a runway and land a Boeing. But the most shocking thing isn't the size. What's most shocking is what's inside. Where the cave's roof has collapsed, giant windows onto the outside world have formed. Sunlight streams in through them. And thanks to this, hundreds of meters deep, the cave has grown its own jungle, with trees 30 meters tall, ferns, vines, monkeys, and hornbills, a complete, self-contained ecosystem. This is truly Jules Verne's lost world. It has its own climate. The temperature difference inside creates real clouds. You stand underground and watch the clouds drift by. It's mind-blowing. Scientists exploring Sun Dong find plants thought extinct and new species of animals, like white, translucent fish and insects that have never seen the sun. But this beauty is treacherous. The cave has a life of its own. During the rainy season, the underground river rises tens of meters in a matter of hours, flooding the vast chambers. If you happen to be there at that moment, you'll simply be washed into the abyss. Getting there takes several days of arduous trekking through the jungle, rappelling, and crossing turbulent rivers. This place is not for the faint of heart. Sun Dong is a time capsule. It's a place where Earth hid a piece of the ancient world to keep it from us. We're closing the 10th, and we're doing it with a bang. Welcome to Komodo Island. This is the only place on the planet where the word dragon isn't a metaphor or a character from Game of Thrones, but a harsh, scaly reality staring at you with cold, yellow eyes. This is home to Komodo dragons, the largest lizards in the world. And when I say large, I mean 3 meters long and weighing 90, maybe even 100 kilograms. These are real, living dinosaurs, megafauna that miraculously survived to this day. When such a giant slowly walks through dry grass, its forked tongue lolling, it sends shivers down your spine. It feels like you've stepped back in time millions of years. It was long believed that the wounds killed the victim by bacteria from its filthy mouth, causing sepsis. But scientists recently discovered the truth, and it's even more terrifying. These lizards have venom glands. Their bite injects a complex cocktail of toxins that prevents blood clotting, causing shock and muscle paralysis. A Komodo dragon hunting is like a scene from a horror movie. It can lie in wait for hours, disguised as a log, but as soon as its prey, a deer, a wild boar, or even a huge water buffalo, comes close, the log explodes with speed. The dragon lunges, bites, and retreats. Then it simply waits. It will follow its prey for kilometers until the venom does its work. For humans, these creatures pose a mortal threat. This is not a zoo. There are no bullets or impenetrable glass here. Tourists only go with rangers armed with long forked sticks. Locals build houses on high stilts because dragons cannot climb vertical poles, but they can easily knock down ordinary doors. There have been cases of dragons penetrating huts or attacking lone travelers. Being on this island is a constant stress. You walk through a sun-scorched savanna. There's not a soul around, only dry bushes, and you know that somewhere in this grass lies a predator, perfectly blending into the landscape and seeing you as nothing more than a hunk of meat walking upright. Komodo is the last outpost of the reptile age, a place where warm-blooded creatures still don't feel like masters. Friends, we've reached the most interesting part, the finale. The top 3 are the most brutal. We're opening the top 3 with a place that's literally a hole in reality. We're transported to South America, to the dense jungles of Venezuela. Imagine flying in a helicopter over a flat mountain top covered in dense forest. Everything seems normal, and then suddenly the earth disappears beneath you. Before you are gigantic, perfectly round chasms, disappearing into darkness. These are the Sarazarinyama sinkholes, the most mysterious holes on the planet. They're 350 meters in diameter and deep. To give you an idea of the scale, You could fit the entire Eiffel Tower inside this hole without its spire even poking above the rim, or hide several skyscrapers. But the most mind-blowing thing is what's at the bottom. Down there, in the depths of the well, a forest grows. From above, it looks like an oasis in a prison cell. This place is a true biological trap. The walls of the sinkholes are completely vertical, negative. This means that if an animal or an unequipped person falls in, there's no way back out. There's no escape. As a result, for millions of years, these holes acted as isolators. The animals and plants that found themselves there were cut off from the rest of the world. They evolved in complete darkness and solitude. Scientists who descended there, and it's a highly complex expedition, have found species that don't even exist at the top, 500 meters from the rim. Frogs, insects, orchids. They live in their own little world, unaware of the vast planet beyond. The local Indians fear this place. The name Sirisarenyama imitates the sound, according to legend, made by an evil spirit living at the bottom, devouring human flesh. Sorry. Standing on the edge of this abyss is terrifying. You understand that one false step and you'll fall not just into a pit, but into another dimension, into a prehistoric era with no escape. You'll become part of an ecosystem that has never seen the sun, except for a small circle of light somewhere infinitely high. 12th place. We're transported to Southeast Asia, to the shores of Myanmar. If you think all islands are white sand and palm trees, then Ramri will make you reconsider and perhaps take a break. This place is officially listed in the Guinness Book of World Records, not for its beauty, but as the site of the largest single attack by wild animals on humans. Imagine endless mangrove swamps. Trees stand on stilt-like roots in a thick, black, foul-smelling sludge. It's stuffy and full of mosquitoes and flies. But the main inhabitants of this swamp hide underwater. This is the domain of the mushroom-growing crocodile. This isn't just any crocodile you might have seen in a zoo. It's the largest reptile on the planet. Males grow up to 7 meters long and weigh over a ton. They are the absolute pinnacle of the food chain. A living fossil that has outlived dinosaurs and a meteorite. They have the most powerful bite in the animal kingdom, capable of crushing buffalo bones like matchsticks. The story that made this island a horror legend took place in 1945, during World War II. A British landing party landed on the island and drove an elite detachment of Japanese infantry, about 1,000 soldiers, into those very same mangrove swamps. The Japanese refused to surrender and decided to break through the swamp to their own. This decision proved fatal. When the sun set, hell broke loose. The British soldiers standing in the cordon on dry land recalled that night with shivers. From the darkness of the swamps came not gunshots, but human screams of terror, splashing water, and the eerie sound of jaws closing. 1,000 people entered the water. Crocodiles, attracted by the scent of blood from the wounded, swarmed from all over the area. It was a real massacre. Fungus crocodiles use a deadly spinning tactic. They grab their prey and spin wildly around, tearing off chunks of flesh. By morning, only 20 people emerged from the swamp alive. 20 out of 1,000. All of them were in a state of profound shock. Many went mad from what they saw. The remaining 980 soldiers became reptile food. Being on Ramri Island is terrifying even now. You're floating on a boat through murky water. All around is silence, only the creaking of tree roots. But you feel like you're being watched. Hundreds of pairs of eyes watch from the surface of the water. They see you, but you don't see them. Here, man is not the king of nature. Here, man is just a soft, slow, and defenseless snack. Ramri is a place where nature revealed its most brutal, prehistoric side. The finale. We've arrived at a point on the map that's officially considered the most dangerous island on the planet. It's the only place in the world where humans lost the war against nature and were forced to retreat. Welcome to Queimada Grande, or, as it's known worldwide, Snake Island. From the air, it looks like a piece of paradise. Green forests, rocky shores, blue ocean. It seems like the perfect place to build a resort and sip cocktails on the beach. But if you set foot on this shore, you'll survive for maybe an hour. This island was cut off from mainland Brazil about 11,000 years ago due to rising sea levels. And the animals that remained were trapped. There were no predators to control the snake population, and so the snakes took over. The island's golden lancehead snake, or batrops, lives here. It's endemic and one of the most venomous snakes in the world. They evolved to prey on migratory birds, as there's almost no other food on the island. To prevent the bird from flying away after a bite, the batrops's venom has become incredibly potent and fast-acting. It's 5 times more potent than that of its mainland cousins. This toxin literally melts flesh, causing instant tissue necrosis and kidney failure. The population density here is staggering. Estimates put the number of snakes per square meter of the island at between 1 and 5. Think about that. You take a step and step on a snake. You grab a branch, and it's a snake. You look up, and they're hanging from the trees like Christmas lights. There are no safe zones here. The entire island is one continuous tangle of venomous reptiles. There's a creepy legend about a lighthouse keeper. People used to live on the island, a keeper with his wife and 3 children. One night, snakes crawled into the window of their little house. The family panicked and ran outside, trying to get to the boat. But they fled through a forest swarming with bothrops. No one survived. When the military came to check why the lighthouse had gone out, they found only bodies. Since then, the lighthouse has been operating automatically. The Brazilian Navy has officially banned landings on the island. It's a closed zone. Only crazy biologists are allowed here once a year and only accompanied by a doctor with a suitcase of antidote. Queimada Grande is a veritable miniature Jurassic Park. This is a world where mammals, meaning you and me, are superfluous. Cold-blooded killers, who have retained their instincts from prehistoric times, rule here. It's a monument to the fact that nature can be not only a mother, but also a merciless executioner. Well, friends, we survived. We traversed ancient forests, swam with crocodiles, and looked dragons in the eye. These 13 places prove one thing: our planet is not entirely ours. We've built cities and roads, but one step away and we enter a territory where humans are simply slow, soft, and defenseless food. Looking at these lost worlds, you realize we're just guests here, dropping in on a billion-year-old party. And, apparently, this party will continue long after we're gone. Tell us in the comments where you'd never go, even if you were offered $1 million, a swamp full of crocodiles or an island infested with snakes. I'm genuinely curious to know your fear limit. If this video made you nervous or surprised, give it a like. It helps the channel survive in the YouTube jungle. And subscribe so you don't miss the next journey. Ahead of us, we'll dive into the deepest trenches of the ocean and into cities where people live in inhumane conditions. Take care and watch your step. Bye, everyone.